while I'm in London, let me go visit a masjid. And I just looked like, famous masjids in London or whatever. And I found Regent's Park Mosque. I thought, wow, it's right in the middle of the park. Let's go. I was nearby. And then let me just go see. So I went inside, and I don't know how I looked. I'm sure I was not dressed like a Muslim, that's for sure. I was definitely clean shaven. I'm sure thiyab were below the ankles. I was probably wearing ripped jeans and I don't know what. I was not dressed like a Muslim. And I went inside the masjid, and there was an old man from Jordan. Later on, I found he was from the students of Shaykh al-Albani, rahimahullah ta'ala. And he came and he took me, and he didn't speak much English. And he said, Muslim? Because I didn't look like a Muslim. He said, Muslim? He said, Muslim, new Muslim. He said, 1 minute. He called his students to come and translate. And he said, Shaykh says, you might be a new Muslim and you're visited to our masjid. I said, yeah, I'm a visitor to the masjid. I don't, I'm just a new Muslim. He said, come and sit. So he had a place he was sitting. He had an office in one building nearby or something like that. They took me to his office and they sat me down, and the Shaykh explained a few things. And he said to me, is there anything I can help you with? Look at the difference when you ask a person of knowledge. He said, is there anything I can help you with? I said, Wallahi, Shaykh, I'm confused. Every one of these groups is telling me, and I've been through different groups, and I'm with this one on one day and this one on the next, and I don't know what I am. And Wallahi gave me a very beautiful explanation in which he basically told me that what you need to do is to go back to originally how Islam is. Leave all of that stuff and go back to the Quran, the Sunnah, and what the Sahaba were upon as best you can. And he leave all those new ideas and this card carrying groups and be someone who tries to follow Quran and Sunnah, Sahaba. And he gave me books. So he gave me books, he gave me a little library, like about, I think 15 books, like as a set. And he said, take this, and tapes. Tapes were like, some of the du'at and English-speaking du'at and the translating for the sheikhs and everything, the conferences that happen in the winter and things like that. He gave me the tapes. I'm saying tapes. Some of the kids are looking like, what's a tape? Like old cassettes that you, never mind, Google it later. Not even an old-fashioned CD. Even I say CD, they're like, look at it, what's that? What we used to have like before everybody just played things on their phone. So they had like audio and everything, durus and stuff. And I didn't read it all straight away, but when I listened to it, it made a lot of sense to me. People said, look, you got to go back to the Quran, you got to go back to the Sunnah, you got to go back to what the Sahaba were upon, radiyallahu anhum wa ardahum. You've got to be somebody who tries to find the truth. You got to be someone who tries to study your religion and learn it properly and practice it. And that's what he told me. He didn't tell me to join any group. He didn't give me a name that you have to be this name or this label or whatever. But he gave me the fundamentals. I then came back, and this is an important lesson. I came back to Newcastle with my books. And I carried on with my job, with my work. And I carried on kind of the same as how I was before, a little bit improved, but still similar. And I met a group of brothers. And that group of brothers, they had recently left some of these different groups and come to the Sunnah. And they were practicing the Sunnah, Quran and Sunnah properly. And these brothers, they actually invited me and said to me, Tim, why don't you come to the masjid? I said, yeah, masajid, I've been to a few masajid and I didn't really have a great experience, but they said, no, there's a new masjid, we've just opened it up, come. And wallahi, it was everything I wanted. It was a masjid upon the Quran and Sunnah. It was a masjid that didn't have the cultural problems that the other masajid had. It was a masjid where the khutbah was delivered in English. It was a masjid that I just, from beginning to end, I was very happy there. Very, very happy, wallahi. And in that masjid, there were brothers who were good friends to me. People who actually were practicing more than me. People who were trying to, they had sabr with me. I wasn't Muhammad Tim. I wasn't Muhammad Tim that you see today. I was like, half 1 foot here, 1 foot there, struggling to practice. And they really had patience with me. And they helped me, they showed me, they corrected a lot of misconceptions I had. When I used to listen to speakers that were not good, they used to say, Very nicely, not in a horrible way, but he used to say, look, maybe this one is better. I'd be like, yeah, I've got that in my library. The sheikh gave me that. That sheikh, I've got his audio in my library. I'll go and get it. And I started to read and attach myself to knowledge. And the brothers, they said, look, Muhammad Tim, why don't you go and study your religion? I'm like, yeah, later. I wish I can study my religion. I want to study it now. But we didn't have that many options in Newcastle. There were some halaqat. There were some study circles. Some of the brothers started study circles, little. I think there was a brother who used to take Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen's explanation of some, I think maybe Riyadh al-Salihin or something, and he used to just translate it and read it to the brothers in English. There was a few little, but there wasn't proper study circles and things. They said to me, why don't you study? I said, I want to study. And they said, look, why don't you think about applying to study abroad? I'd already looked into studying abroad. I saw madaris in South Africa, Egypt. I'd looked into it. And they said, look, why don't you go to Saudi? Like, why don't you go and they'll pay for you and take care of you? And I was like, oh, sounds great, but how do I apply? So that was, I went through the process. I applied. Allah blessed me again and again by being accepted in that university and being able to learn Arabic and being able to learn something of the deen and to be able to come back and to share it with people. So for me, helping new Muslims is very, very important. And it's very important to learn. A lot of how I am today is based on those experiences, to be honest. Like, I'm very, very firm and very vocal in telling people to follow the Quran and the Sunnah. And you know that from me. I'm not somebody who sits on the fence. I tell people I don't care if nobody is with me in it. I'll be by myself. I'm quite happy. I was by myself from 14 to 18. So I'm more than happy. I don't mind. I'll be by myself if I have to. But I will keep telling people to hold on fast to the Quran and the Sunnah and what the Sahaba were upon. Because this is the haqq, and there is no other haqq except it. And all of the other firaq and the other ways, all of them are upon batil and dalal, misguidance and evil. And there's nothing good except what the Prophet ﷺ brought and the Sahaba transmitted from him. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.